Hi everyone, and welcome to your sacred retreat. I'm so excited to be sharing this with you. It's a really interesting time that we are traveling through at the moment. And while we are all mostly kept inside at home, some of us are not necessarily using that time to go within. There are still a multitude of things that pull our attention away. Some of us are working from home, some of us have the television on, they're replacing one distraction with another. And so I felt that in order for us to really tune out the noise that we hear, because things are shifting so quickly for us in the external world, it's sometimes hard to keep up with that information, that influx of information, and to assess whether or not that information actually resonates with us at all. And so time alone is the best remedy in those instances for us to tune in and see what the truth is for ourselves before we react, before we make a decision. It's allowing ourselves to remain empowered in times like this when we feel so powerless, to attune yourself to your innermost guidance is one of the quickest and easiest ways to allow yourselves to feel more not just in control. And it's not control in the outward masculine sense of I'm controlling this situation, but simply to remain empowered and knowing that you are living every moment in choice, and that you're creating your days with choice. So that's sort of the idea behind the retreat, and I just thought I would put the call out there to see if this resonates with anyone else as well. And as I mentioned yesterday, you can take this retreat for as long as it feels right for you, or as long as time permits for you. That can be 2 hours, it can be 4, it can be 6, it could be the whole day. From the moment you wake today, as you're listening to this, and till the time when you go to bed tonight. And if you do that, that's so amazing. And if you don't, that's okay as well. I'm not sure that I would be ready to go a whole day, but I'm definitely aiming for 8 hours, maybe 12. I'll see how we go. And so this is going to be a day where we disconnect so that we can actually reconnect with ourselves. So much of our attention is actually pulled outwards on any given day, and we live in a very outwardly driven society, and so you see so many advertisements at the moment still trying to pull your attention. There's a sale on here, and read more about why this is all happening here, and come join an online class here, and people are feeding you ideas as to what you need to do, and you get a sense of what you feel you should do, and that's really your mental capacity kicking in, going, oh, I must make the most of this time, I must do something productive. And that's well and good, but if we're not actually aligning with what it is that we truly need, we will continue to feel like something is missing and something is out of alignment. Because on the other side of the coin is the deep yearning that comes from your heart. That's just patiently waiting for you to slow down, to listen, and to actually give yourself what it is that you truly need rather than what it is that you think you need. Right? So we think we have to continue to exercise, we think we have to be creative, and we think we have to do this and that. When all that you might actually need to do is to rest. And we're not very good at resting because it feels productiveless. It doesn't feel productive, right? We are, so used to aligning ourselves with an output. Even when it comes to creativity or, staying well, there has to be an output. Meditation is now on our to-do list as something to tick off, rather than the essence of what meditation is, which is just to simply let yourself be. And so the invitation today is for us to reconnect with our true essence. We are human beings. We are here to be. And so by disconnecting with our sources of external distraction, and whether that's a phone or your tablet or your television, newspaper, magazines, podcasts, whatever it is that you're used to connecting with outside of yourself, we're going to disconnect with. And we're going to minimize at least, but hopefully disconnect with completely. Right? And you can wean yourself off it potentially. If you're going for 8 hours, you want this retreat to go on for 8 hours. Maybe look at gradually removing a device at a time. But maybe go cold turkey and see how you go. So this is our chance to regain our sense of empowerment, regain our sense of control over our own lives, to say, well, no, actually, I know this is what the outside world is telling me to do, but this is what I actually need, which is just to sit on a couch and do nothing. And if only we can start to celebrate that, because so many people attach that with guilt. And once guilt kicks in, it's such a stagnant energy, and it's very hard for us to move ourselves into a higher perspective. So the agenda for today is actually quite simple, is to actually slow down. That is your remit for today. I didn't want to crowd the day with too much things for you to tick off, because again, we're engaging our mind. We're thinking this is what we need to do and this is what we must do. However, I will give you guidance in terms of what you might want to explore in between right now and your first check-in. And your first check-in could be an hour from now, it could be an hour and a half from now, it could be 2 or 3 hours from now, depending on how long you plan to stay in retreat for. So whenever you find yourself maybe getting bored or getting frustrated, and even those are perfectly acceptable feelings to have. So as we start to slow down, we start to then give ourselves room and space to acknowledge what it is that is actually going on. Right? And so while we keep busy, it distracts us from boredom. While we stay productive, we don't notice that we're frustrated until you perhaps jump into your car and get into a road rage incident. But that outlet is not there for you anymore. And so you have no choice but to sit with it now. And that's something you can do, or that's something you can only do when you actually allow yourself to sit and observe. You become a lot more aware of what is actually going on inside. There's a whole world going on inside you that you often don't pay attention to. So go slow. So whatever it is that you're doing, if you're making yourself a cup of tea, go at half the speed. And you might even want to keep slowing that down. You know, with everything that you do, take time to pay attention to what it is that you're doing. Am I using my right hand to pick up the spoon? Which spoon am I going to pick up? How many grains of, I was going to say sugar, but I'm not sure whether that's the right thing for us to be having. But, you know, whatever, tea leaves, how many tea leaves are you actually scooping out with your spoon? You may even want to scoop out one leaf at a time. Become more and more mindful and more aware of what you're doing as you continue to allow yourselves to slow everything down. And it is a conscious choice, because we rush through our days because we are trying to fit in more and more every day. But guess what? Today, we're actually going to stretch it out. We're going to stretch time out. Because time is a human construct. It doesn't exist. Okay? So let yourself slow right down. And that may be a gradual thing over the course of the retreat. So observe, become more aware, have no expectations. So as you arrive into this retreat now, come with no expectations. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to have a schedule. Because, you know, as I said before, it's going to engage your mind. You're going to figure out, okay, what's next? Rather than just being in the moment and go, this is what it is. So having no expectations means that if you struggle through today, that is your retreat. That is what you need. You don't need to sugarcoat it. You don't need to make it into a blissful experience. The fact is, it will be what it is that you need most right now. And if it is to observe your own struggle, it is symbolic for where you're at, what you're going through, and what you need to move through. And everything that we experience is for our highest good. So you're not suffering because you're being punished. You're simply observing how you create suffering, and you can use that as a lesson to springboard you to do things differently. So there is no need to change anything. There's no need to control anything. So if you are having a terrible time, let yourself be with that. Let yourself have a terrible time. Be the observer. See what unfolds. If you're loving it, love it. Love it fully. Love it completely. Rather than needing to move on to the next thing. Alright, so I was listening to, I can't remember who it was, but someone was saying that someone was in the middle of an experience that they were really enjoying, and they commented that, oh, they should do that again soon. That is expectation, right? That is taking you out of the moment already, rather than being fully engaged in that moment and enjoying it fully. So the first invitation for you for this first stretch of your retreat before your first check-in is an invitation to tune into your body. You can start with movement, intuitive movement. You may start with something that you're familiar with, like a sun salutation in yoga, for example. or you could completely free form from the get-go. And remembering that one of the themes of today is to slow down. And while free forming may be may sort of conjure up quick movements, and you might start that way, aim to slow it down and slow it down and slow it down. So it may even take you 10 minutes to lift your arm from the side of your body up to your heart. Truly allow every moment to open up to its fullness and become aware of every movement that you're making. I might be exaggerating there, but in some ways I'm also not. Although you might want to lie down if you are contemplating extremely slow movement like that. And you may want to lay down on a mat or something like that anyway, and just simply allow your body to move intuitively. And this doesn't have to be quick, jerky movements. It can be very slow and fluid, right? So it may actually just be really responding to what it is that you need. Again, it's an inwardly driven moment. It's an inwardly driven action or activity. So feel your body and what needs to move, and really just let it go where it needs to go. And so this alone may take you an hour, or could take you half an hour, right? Whatever, when you feel like it's come to an end, you'll know, and don't cheat. And after that, if it's still not time for your first catch up or your first check-in, you might then want to do what a discovery walk. It could also be called a walking meditation. So I first sort of played with this when I was studying photography, and we had to go on a discovery walk. And you literally you try to look at everything with fresh eyes, right? Because we can walk down the same street and not notice the simplest thing because, we're hurtling down the street to get somewhere, right? Or we could walk down the street on the different side of the road and see something completely different. Okay, so you may not be able to walk outside, and I think we are still able to walk outside, so if you can, that would be great. Otherwise, you can do that at home. You could do it in your backyard, you can do it in shared common areas within your building. Whatever it is, find somewhere where you feel comfortable spending a bit of time in, right, and not be disturbed. So a discovery walk, is like allowing yourself to walk through as if it's something that's brand new, like you've never seen a tree before, and really observe it. You can observe it. You can adopt a childlike curiosity to this exercise. And a walking meditation is very similar, where you completely slow down your movement. You can feel the heel of your foot landing on the ground. How does that feel? Feel that connection. And as you increase that connection, how does that feel? And as you increase that connection, you feel the decrease in connection in your other foot. And then next thing you know, the ball of your foot then touches the ground. How does that feel? Where is the pressure of your body? Where is that center point of balance in your body now? And now each toe is connecting with the earth. And now both feet are holding you up. Now you're transferring the weight to the foot just landed. And you're removing pressure off your other foot. Which part of the foot lifts off the ground first? And feel that coming off. Feel the air moving, touching, grazing that part of your foot that has just lifted off the ground. Feel the pressure in the other foot as it helps you maintain balance, to help you stay upright. You lift your other foot just a little bit further. The ball of your foot now takes half the weight of your body. How is your body being balanced? How does it feel? Which foot is actually carrying more weight? And now you lift each toe off the ground. Can you do it one by one? Big toe, second toe, third, fourth, little toe. Now the foot is suspended in the air. Your other foot taking all the weight of your body. How is it keeping you in balance? Do you feel the nuanced movement of each muscle in your foot as it tries to keep you upright? And then you could do that over again, right? So that in itself is, slowing down, something that we do every day. You're going to start to notice your body. You're going to start to notice the smallest core or message from within, right? Suddenly you notice something that you've never noticed before about yourself. So as you move into the first phase of your retreat, again, remember to slow down and to take pauses often. So if you are just walking up and down your backyard, when you reach one end of the backyard, allow yourself to pause there and really observe. Just as you can attune to your breath in the same way, when you've taken a deep breath in, just pause for a moment before you let that breath out. And when your lungs are empty, pause there in that emptiness, in that space, before you take in a breath. And again, in its fullness, pause and then out. So slow down and pause often. If you find yourself not knowing what you need to do at this time. So I hope it is what it is that you need today, and enjoy every moment of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, and I will speak to you again at your first check-in.